Hi folks, this is Resetti's Replicas here again with another Let's Build. This is number 3, so it's time to take it to the next level. With Leveler 2. This robot competed in Series 7, a one-offer. Didn't really impress me, but I suppose there's only so much you can do when you're put in the same heat as the reigning champ. And it made Barbarous and Tetanus look pretty good, so that's something. So just like before, we'll go into an empty team slot, this time in Team Batman. That's an acronym for Bots and Team Members Always Nasty. I thought it was pretty clever. Anyways, we'll just go ahead in there. And yep, there's a vacant slot. And this will be for Leveler 2. Alright, so the body, it was a sort of elongated trapezoid shape. So we'll go ahead and make that. And this one I'm pretty confident I can do by just sticking to the grid. So I have. And now we'll go on ahead to making the wedge. The real Leveler 2 had a sort of a wedge to a point at the top, sort of like a roof. Unfortunately, we need to leave some sort of a flat panel, and each of those dots has to have a full line's worth of space in between them. So that's gonna mean we have to have a rather big rectangle on top. So the roof, we'll just say it's flattened out, like so. And that's the chassis completed. So the flipper is made in the same way as the axe. We go ahead and take a burst motor, and this time we started in the down position and have it end in the up position. What I'm showing you here is a bunch of different ideas that I dithered around with, just to show you the process of trial and error. None of them quite worked out, so we'll go ahead and skip to the one that did. And as it turns out, I have to use the burst that I only use when I need to make a really tight fit. This is listed as an extender, but it's actually a burst motor. Normally it's used powerless, unpowered that is, so it doesn't actually flip, it just holds in place with a sort of springy connection that keeps skirts and such. So next to do is to just start building on top of it. We'll start with these multi-extenders. They're pretty small and light, don't take up a lot of space, so they're ideal for sort of the skeleton. Takes a little more trial and error to get it just right. For the flipper itself, what I'm thinking of using is these side panels. These are normally used to put a shell spinner together. And here, see if we stick them on top, they can be Leveler's flipper. So we want to try and get the flippers to line up exactly the two side panels as they were. So we're trying out various combinations of big extenders and multi-extenders, which are the small ones. So after a bit more experimentation, I finally got it to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the multi-extender on, and then the side panel is what those black panels are called. We'll go the 60 centimeter. Again, have to rotate it, so I'll go ahead and do that. And to that we'll add a second multi-extender, and to that we add the panel. We fit it right onto that second multi-extender, and it's a pretty good fit. Now we just need the other half, and we'll just take another multi-extender and stick it on, like so. And next we'll take our other side panel. Another 60 should do it. As you can see, it would be the perfect size, except there's a tiny overlap between the two. It doesn't like that. Don't worry though, I know a trick to get around this. It's that switching trick I showed you from Demolition Demon. We'll take a 30, put it where we want the 60 to go, using the same attachment point. For now, let's go ahead and make the wheels. Leveler 2 had 2 big wheels raised high off the ground so that only a small bit of them would actually touch the ground. So we'll go ahead and take our drive motor and raise it up nice and high, not so high that it makes leveler invertible, but you get the gist. That's about right, so we'll find ourselves a wheel that was about the same size. Pretty good size, a little higher, little more ground clearance than I would have liked. So on my second try I got about the right height, but a little too far back so the wheels were sticking out of the chassis. We don't want that, so on this one I got it just about right, everything, the height and the other 2 dimensions, I guess you'd call it. So we'll go ahead and make sure that the 2 motors are aligned, because then the wheels will be aligned and it will go in a straight line when it's going backwards instead of swerving off to the side. That is our hope. There's the wheels under there. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. So we'll go ahead and fit the electronics. We'll start with the control board. Use the mini one. And we'll set the flipper range, and I think that's about right for how far Leveler's flipper opened. We'll leave it there so that it doesn't get in the way. We'll use the big batteries for this. The K on them is from my replica of Kryptonite. I used the batteries to sort of do those square lump things on the side. So we'll go ahead and wire a single button for the flipper, like so. Looks like a pretty good flipper. We'll just make sure that the range of motion start is hovering right on the edge of the chassis, so that it looks like it's a panel that flips up. And next we'll go ahead and wire up the wheels. We've got our forward and reverse. You've seen me do this twice now, so you should have the gist of it, but do it anyways just because it's part of the process. Important part, otherwise the robot doesn't go. We'll just take it for a little test drive. Flipper's good. Looks like it's moving nice and straight. That's good. And we'll have it flip something like that. Guess it's a discarded spinner shell in the corner. Alright, so now that the robot runs, let's go ahead and give it a paint job. The panels are sometimes hard to tell which is which in the BMP thing that I showed you, so here's a little trick that I like to use. I color each side a different color. This is my code: blue on the left, red on the right, green on the back, and purple on the top, and some yellow is what I'm trying to get at there. There we go. Some yellow on the, not really the top, front I guess it is, and orange on the bottom. This is just my code that I've come to recognize. And now you also have to put the dark edges on it, because that way you can tell what the borders are. You'll see that it's in the BMP, like when you paint a side, it gets covered up and also covers up the border lines so that you can't really see what you're doing. And we'll put on this big stripe decal so that we can tell where the flipper is and draw like gap or whatever when we're whatever. And we want to line it up as good as we can. Anyways, what we're going to do now is make it into a BMP file, and for that we go down to those buttons in the lower left. One of them says Export Paint Template, and you want to be sure to check off that box that says Export Current Template instead of a blank one, so that it'll do that. Call it Leveler 2, hit OK. And you want to be sure to check off that box that says Export Current Template instead of a blank one, so that it'll do that. Call it Leveler 2, hit OK. And what I've done here is stretched the template by 400%. Little known fact, you can actually do that and then put it back into Robot Arena 2 without shrinking it down again. It's really nice because the original is a 256 square, and that's really not enough for you to put all the fine details in. So I like to go ahead and work on a more, I guess you'd call it microscopic level. And now I do know how to use Paint.net, in case you were wondering, but when you're doing things like freehand, I've found that MS Paint is a little better. When it comes to just drawing, and you need to erase something or fill in an area, there's the whole mess about tolerance in Paint.net that never quite does exactly what I want it to. Let's see, I don't really have much to say about this except that I'm just doing everything freehand, using pretty basic techniques. And right here I'll just put the finishing touches on the spray paint effects and then go ahead and work on the eye. And there we go, that's about right. And real quick, we'll pop on back into Robot Arena 2 and import the paint just to see that it looks okay. So we're just gonna go ahead and find it on the list. Leveler 2. There it is. The next step is to turn that flipper red. So we're gonna quit out of Robot Arena 2 and navigate to the Robot Arena DSL directory. Folder Components, subfolder Styles gives us that's the folder where all the components in the drop-down menus in Robot Arena 2, this is where they live. So we've gone ahead and made a copy of side 4, which I happen to know is the right one, the longer one that's on Leveler. So I'm just going to call it side 4 red. No need to get real fancy. And so we need to make a duplicate of its GMF file. Side 4, make a new one called side4red.gmf. To find out where that GMF is, as you can see here, I don't quite remember what the directory folder is for these side panels. So what I can do is bring back that text file and see dir equals domes. Domes is the right one. Domes. Okay, so we're in the domes folder now, and as you can see, there's side 4. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that and rename the copy side 4 red, or rather for now we don't have to, we can do that later. And for now what we're gonna do is take that copied file and move it to the desktop. There it is, you see. And now as you can see right now it's a garbled mess we can't really work with. That's why we need to decompile it with the GMF compiler, but it also decompiles. So we want to select that radio button, decompile, and we want to find the folder, or the file rather, there it is, and we want to make the destination also the file. Some people don't like overwriting, My computer is always lacking space, so I prefer not to have unwanted copies laying around. And see, it's been decompiled now. It looks much better. And what we want to do is replace that hex code, all those hexadecimals, with the 6-digit number we found earlier that corresponds. And to do that, we need the hex code for that particular shade of red. So we'll bring back this. Remember this from before? We'll bring up that hex code I found earlier. And as it turns out, we can't enter it as is because the first and last 2 digits get reversed when we recompile this folder. So we're going to go ahead and enter it backwards like so, and find all the other hex codes and replace them too. So I think that took care of most of them, except the E5s. There we go. That looks to be all of them. They don't go too far down. There aren't that many of them. So that's good. Now we just go ahead and take our GMF compiler. This time select compile, and this time recompile it. So once again we find our decompiled file and the other one, and there we go. That message means that it should work now. So we can rename it now. One thing I forgot to mention, do not change the name while the file is decompiled. That will break it. So now we have our red panel good to go. So now we'll go ahead and edit the bot file to put the new component in. I'll be working on the original because I'm pretty confident that I won't break it. To find it, I'm using Carbonite, which means that any files that haven't been backed up recently have an amber dot on them, so it makes it pretty easy to find. So there it is, Team 2, the new robot is there, Bot 5, and that is going to be Leveler 2. This is what a bot file looks like. This you do need Notepad++ for. You will not get this to work in regular Notepad. So down at the bottom we have components, and you can see those ones. Side 4 is the panels, so we call them side 4 red. We got to put that /styles in there because they're in the styles menu. So now when we reopen Robot Arena 2 and check the bot again, it should have those red side panels. You can see that one of them, the small one, has also been replaced by side 4, which is the big one. And the next footage I have jumps straight to the testing portion, but you'll be able to see quite clearly that it is in fact red like it should be, and the 30 has been replaced with the 40. I can't remember. Was it 30 before? Maybe. What we're gonna do here is test out its ability to flip and self-write. What I've done is pitted it against another human controlled. In other words, both these bots are going to have the same control scheme, so when I press the up arrow forward key, both of them go. Ooh, stepped onto the floor flipper. I have it on for this, by the way. But now we can see that, yes indeed, it self-writes. We'll have it flip KN over there a little bit, just to be sure that it can. It's a little tricky to line them up, seeing as they both turn when I hit the turn key. There are probably easier ways around this, but this way is pretty cool. And there we go, we got another good flip in. There we go. And that is the drop zone, which is also on. And there's the fridge. Leveler came out pretty unscathed, so that's good. Here's the floor flipper. Bit too much force behind that one. I was going to do another self-right test, but it landed right side up. We'll try a more gentle flip this time. Too gentle. A little bit more. There we go. And another self-right. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and put in the stuff that'll make it go when it's AI'd. So this time we're calling it flip, the flip button, and as before, these stay the same: forward and left, right. And we'll go ahead and put the smart zone on. Once again, you can't see it, but I happen to know their size is pretty well. Small's about right. We'll go ahead and click the wrench to hit attach. You can't see it, but when I hit the magic button, which is F12, now you can see the normally invisible things, and that red square is the smart zone. So everything else goes green. Wireframes or something. I don't know what you call that. Somebody help me out. Anyways, there we go. We want to get it a little bit higher on the flipper so that it only flips when something's really underneath it, not just grazing against the lip of the flipper. So that's about right. Sometimes it's hard to tell. And for the final touch, we're going to click on the smart zone, call it flip, lowercase f this time. And now it's ready for battle. We'll just make a preview picture. There it is. Normally the robots don't show up very well against the black background, but this one looks pretty nice. So there you go. Another Series 3 contender packed up and ready for battle. So thanks for watching. Look out for Series 3 coming in May. There's a lot more bots that I've been building aside from the few that I've been showing you here. No idea how many of them are going to be new, but should make for a very interesting series. The bots that I have built so far, very interesting, very nicely done, if I do say so myself. Till next time.